Welcome to the Raptor Queens Podcast, the first woman-led Raptors podcast. And I'm your host for today, Essie Magic. And I'm so excited to be here because I haven't been on for like 2 weeks. So I'm excited to be back on the show. And I'm joined today by my fabulous co-host, Sonali Sharma. How are you?
I'm great, Essie. Welcome back. We missed you.
I missed you guys too. And Allison Hope, how are you doing?
Hi, Essie. All's well here. We're happy to see your face again.
Yeah, I'm happy to be back. So yeah, we have some really good topics today too. So things are going to get quite juicy. So just to take you through what we have planned for today, there's lots happening in Raptorland because they headed to Orlando early. So there's so much to talk about our Raptors. Specifically, we're reminded by how many amazing players we have. And so what a perfect time to speak about playoff rotations, specifically Terrence Davis II, who he did mention how he's keen on getting playoff minutes, and we know how deep we are. So we definitely want to go through playoff minutes and who we think should, get more minutes and who should kind of get the cut, as bad as that sounds. Then we're going to go into some tea time where Sonali is going to take us through her usual amazing tea, spill the tea. And then around the league, there are some really interesting topics. Players are pissed about the restrictions on jersey messaging. So we're going to go into that and talk about whether we think they're justified or not justified. And then we're going to get into all these players who are now having to sit out in Orlando, some due to the virus, some to personal reasons, some who have now decided to officially opt in. So we're going to get into that as well. So to start, let's start with our amazing Raptors. Ladies, let's talk about playoff minutes. Out of our players, our bench players, who do you think is guaranteed to get minutes, or who of the players who are guaranteed to get minutes? And who do you think should be cut? We'll start with Allison.
So guaranteed to get minutes, obviously Serge and Fred and Norm and Rondé Hollis-Jefferson and probably Chris Boucher. I think I kind of wondered, as I was doing some reading before we started, I firmly believe that we're going to get our first glimpse of Paul Watson Jr. in the scrimmage games that will be played on the 24th, 26th, and 28th. He's hopefully our next gem, our next undrafted gem. So I fully believe that we're going to see the entire roster 15 or 17 deep in the scrimmage games. So I don't think we'll be seeing Malcolm Miller, and I don't think we'll be seeing O'Shea Brissett, and I don't think we'll be seeing Paul Watson Jr. in the playoffs.
Got it. So you mean Paul Watson more for like the scrimmage and the practice, but then once the actual playoffs start, it's like you're at the back of the bench.
Yes, exactly.
What about you, Sonali? What do you think?
So I'm actually going to disagree with Allison about O'Shea Brissett. I think we're actually going to see some of O'Shea in the playoff rotations. From what I understand and what I've been reading is that O'Shea has been working very hard. He's had sort of, I guess, even personal circumstances. I think his daughter was born on May 28th, 2 days after my birthday. I think the pandemic sort of gave him that, there's a bit of a fire, and I can see even through all his social media posts, he's been sort of showing how hard he's been working. And so I think we're going to see O'Shea. I also think, obviously I'm not going with the sort of standards that you've already mentioned. I know we're going to see Kyle and Fred and Pascal and Mark and Serge and Norm and OG as well too. But I think Matt Thomas is going to be seen in the rotation as well, because one of the things prior to when Rudy Gobert gave Corona to the league, we saw Matt Thomas really sort of coming out with his 3-pointers. And I think And I've been hearing some rumblings that he's really taken this time to perfect his sort of 3-point shot. So I don't know. I think a lot of these bench players, because of our sort of unhealthy roster that we had pre-COVID, I'm excited to see what's going to come out of this. And obviously Nick is going to have some creative stuff cooking for us. And the other person I sort of forgot to touch on, my favorite, Chris Boucher. And I know most of our listeners have probably seen that he's sort of gone from slim duck to bulk duck these days. He's gained 15 pounds in like a very healthy and obviously sort of, you know, driven way to like get his body ready for playoffs. So I think this is his time to shine, and I think we're definitely going to see Chris Boucher in that rotation as well too during the playoffs.
So maybe I'm the more pessimistic one in this case, but I see like at least to start the playoffs, and by start I don't mean the starters literally, I mean like the time of playoffs starting. I think that like so many people are just going to be they won't get any minutes unless things are going wrong. Like for example, if you know how things slow down in the playoffs and there's a lot more half court offense, and we all know that, you know, Pat McCaw is not that great on offense. I could see that being an opportunity where Nick Nurse is like, finally, I'm just going to listen to what other people say. I'm just joking. He's never gonna, he does his own thing. But anyway, but you know how everyone's always like, oh, he has something special, you know, for some reason he loves Pat McCaw. But I feel like that could be a reason, like it has to be something going wrong for us to see, you know, Chris Boucher play, or Rondé Hollis Jefferson specifically. Like I feel like he's known for his defense, and I could see him being used specifically, you know, in end of quarter situations, or just specifically on the start player when OG's on the bench. Okay, let Rondé Hollis Jefferson take the start, whoever it is, you know what I mean? So I could see Rondé Hollis Jefferson still getting minutes based on defense, and because the game slows down, I think the obvious ones we know, Norm is going to get minutes, Serge is going to get minutes. Terrence Davis, I think, will get minutes so long as Pat McCaw plays poorly, which we can probably depend on him to play poorly. So I think that Terrence Davis will get some minutes. He will get his feet wet in his rookie season in the playoffs. And then I think, unfortunately, Chris Boucher, as much as I would love for him to play, I just think about when there was a time in the season when suddenly Chris Boucher was going games without playing at all. Mm-hmm. When players started coming back from injury, and Nick Nurse put him right back in the bench. And for some reason, I feel like that's what's going to happen again. Because like between Serge and Mark, they're going to take whoever, you know, if we happen to be playing the Sixers, obviously Chris Boucher can't play in that situation unless I don't think he'll be able to take Joel Embiid. And even if we play the Bucks, right, I don't think that Chris Boucher can handle the Bucks.
Even the 15-pound larger Chris Boucher?
even Big Duck. I don't think.
I don't know. I always think of Chris Boucher in that stellar game that he had with the Lakers. Was it right before Christmas, I think, where he just had this incredible performance against the Lakers. I'm like, just channel that, Boucher.
I know. I still hold on to that as well. That was like, it was like near the beginning of the first major injury plague or whatever, where he and Rondé, that was the first time we saw Rondé play like so good too also. But yeah, unfortunately, I think that Chris Boucher won't get minutes. I think that Matt Thomas won't get minutes either, unless it's a last second situation, they'll put him in. And who else is there? O'Shea Brissett, nope, on the bench. Malcolm Miller, nope, on the bench. Am I forgetting anyone? I think that's it. Yeah, I think
Stanley Johnson.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's not gonna get any minutes either. Okay, so what do you guys think though about the whole? Because you remember how before the season got postponed, we were talking about the possibility of Serge actually starting in the playoffs because Mark was still coming from injury and Serge had that momentum, and it just didn't seem right to go right into the playoffs with Mark suddenly coming back from injury. Now, though things have changed because all this time has passed, do you still think that Serge deserves a starting spot over Mark, or do you think Mark should take it back as the rightful owner, I guess you can say? Allison, what do you think?
A good question. I don't think it matters who starts, and I wonder if they even care who starts. Like obviously, when the series against Philly, when Nick Nurse decided to match up Gasol with Embiid full time, I mean that was obviously a strategic matchup. And there are some situations with bigger centers where Gasol is going to be the obvious answer. But I really like the compliment that Serge brings. He's not as fearsome a rim protector as he used to be, but he's really expanded his game on offense, and he's got a very reliable elbow jumper. He's got good hands at the rim. He's got a beautiful pick and roll chemistry with Kyle Lowry. So he brings a lot that Mark doesn't, and he has the occasional three. And I did look up; he's hitting his highest 3-point percentage in his entire career. So, in fact, he was having a career year, and it was just kind of sad to see. You know, the pandemic, of course, for everyone hit when it did, but when he was having such a good year. So I'm not sure it matters who starts, and I think it's going to be matchup specific.
Sonali, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have to go with Allison on this one. I don't think it matters to either player, but I do agree with Allison that Serge is the more sort of versatile player out of Mark and him, and I guess we'll kind of see. I guess it will be matchup specific. So
But can I just add something too? Like when you look at front courts like the Lakers with Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, and Anthony Davis, I mean, that's an immense front court. So, I mean, I think Mark would probably be the obvious answer there, and with Embiid and Horford as well. So, in those cases.
I think that if we go by matchups, right? So in the first round, I don't think it matters. I think Serge has proven himself and he could start in the first round, right? And then let's say we were to face Boston, because that's the next bracket we would face. And everyone thinks Boston is better than us. So I'm just going to assume I'm just going to act like Boston's going to come out of Sixers versus, them versus the Sixers. If the Sixers stay in the same spot and they stay in the same spot. And Boston has a very small team. So I think that Serge would do great against Boston. I think that he'd be faster as well. They are smaller and faster. So I think against Boston, he'd be great. Then if we beat Boston, we would face Milwaukee, and Milwaukee, that's where it's like, maybe
The Lopez brothers.
yeah, it's like maybe we need Mark now, but then at the same time, you can't just take it away from Serge after he's proven himself. Like, I don't think that ever happens. Like, if someone's proven themselves from the beginning of the playoffs, it's like they hold on to it, that maybe it might be a situation where sometimes like the 7-minute mark of the first quarter, the next player comes in or something, where Mark would then come in. But that's where the only areas where I get a little worried is like if we face Milwaukee, and if we're fortunate enough to get to the finals, facing Anthony Davis and JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard would be very interesting. So then again, though, if we face the Clippers, I think Serge would be fine with the Clippers. You know what I mean? So so I think I'm leaning on the more Serge side. I would prefer Serge be the starter. If Sarah was here, she would think I'm being biased, but I actually think based off his numbers and what we saw before the postponement of the league, I think that I would like to see Serge start, just because for offense as well, offense is an area where we might struggle in the playoffs because it becomes more half court. And I just think we need offense where we can get it because it's going to be tougher. And I just think that Marc Gasol's offense is not where it needs to be. And although he's amazing at defense and playmaking, I don't think that's enough to make him start, at least in the earlier rounds. But anyway, that's my take. Do any of you guys agree or disagree with me?
No, I definitely agree with you. Points are going to be at a premium. And I mean, let's face it, all year, who was dropping 15, 20 points a game? It wasn't Marc Gasol when he was playing. So
Yeah.
I completely see your point there.
Yeah, Serge's offense has just been so good. It's like the best it's been in his career. And yeah, I think we definitely will need that. So yeah, I'm sorry, Mark.
and sorry, Sarah. You're not on here today.
I hope she hears that. All right. So any final remarks about rotation? I feel like we're kind of in agreement there on that one.
Did either of you see the media clip that TD did discussing what he's been working on during the layoff? That was actually pretty interesting, and I think like this maybe less in the playoffs, but like in the preseason 8 games, Nick Nurse is really going to be looking for the optimal fit for TD, and TD did say he was working on his pick and roll game. And I mean, I think he's already way ahead of where we thought he'd be as a catch and shoot option. And if he can get some kind of chemistry with Serge on the pick and roll, I mean, that would be a beautiful thing, and that would like unlock Serge's next level. So it's going to be interesting to see where Terrence Davis is with that, like in the preseason, for as far as I'm concerned.
I agree. I definitely want to see TD2 come in and just like completely annihilate all opponents. or just, okay, that's harsh, but like break out of his shell, because I just feel like I just love his whole, just everything about him, his personality, the things he's been saying. Like, did you guys see how he said that he thought about applying for Canadian citizenship for his son?
Yeah, for his son. Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. That feels like he wants to be here long term. Like when someone says that, it's like, and then the whole thing about, I don't know, he got that terrible comment on Instagram from somebody telling him to stay in Canada because he voiced his concerns about the racial issues. And his response was just so like, I don't know. I just love the guy. So I would love for him to break out in the playoffs and justify not playing Pat McCaw anymore, specifically.
By the way, we have no reports on Pat McCaw. Like, where is he? What is his body looking like? We don't know anything about Pat right now.
I did see one clip in this open gym clip of, you can only see from his neck up though. So he is at least existing in the camp. But that's about all we know. We haven't seen him do any of those virtual press conferences either. So yeah, we don't know what his game is like right now. We have no idea. It's like Pandora's box.
He may not be in heavy media demand though.
You might as well have just said no one wants to talk to him. That's how that came out.
Well, I think everyone's like way more interested in Kyle and I mean the new Marc Gasol, right? Like,
oh gosh, okay. But yeah, Sonali, anything you want to say about Terrence Davis?
No, love the guy. I just think that he's sort of like, yeah, everything you guys said. He's just, there's nothing I dislike about him, and I'm excited to see where he goes.
Yeah. I agree. Okay, I think that's it for this topic. We are going to go into tea time right now, where Sonali is going to take us through. Sonali, what tea are you sipping today?
Always sipping the COVID tea. Well, so I mean, there's a lot that's come out with the Raptors. Lots of fun tweets. There's some stuff about our favorite OG, who he's got his there's always some jokes around OG and Serge's cute little relationship. And the most recent thing, I think, OG was asked whether or not he had picked up any new hobbies during this pandemic, and OG seems to have become a Michelin star chef during this time. So he's been cooking shrimp linguine, according to Josh Lewenberg, and working on his game. And when asked what kind of music he was listening to, he said with a very straight face, I haven't listened to any music during the pandemic or quarantine. And Serge, I guess, got a hold of this, and Serge said, OG said he put me on cooking too. So I'm confused now. I guess OG put me on everything. And if fans recall, there was this scarf rivalry after that Avec Class episode on Serge's sort of fashion series on Uninterrupted, where OG claimed to have been Serge's fashion guru and not the other way around. So it sounds like there's a new rivalry here as to who has been the better chef or masterclass chef here. And so, which sort of leads me to the question that maybe OG is also cooking for Chris Boucher now and is responsible for Chris's body. So I don't know if you guys have anything to add to that, but the sort of camaraderie and the sort of antics between Serge and OG are always interesting. Funny. And hopefully we get to see some of this happen during the playoffs as well too.
I am curious which of the two would be the better cook, to be honest. Ooh. Guys at home, let us know. Tweet us at Raptor Queens. Who do you think would be the better cook? Serge or OG?
I think it might depend how adventurous one would be.
Oh, you mean like if Serge like had something weird on the menu?
Yes.
Like, I'm not eating that.
Yes. Yes, definitely. Hey, did you guys see the video of OG when they were asking him? I think it was about the cooking and how deadpan he was. Like, what are you cooking? Well, it depends what I want for dinner. Like, he's just so droll and sardonic and deadpan. Like, he's just, like, I kind of think he's, like, kind of mocking of Serge in his own little way. I don't know.
You know what I think it is? I think it's his British sense of humor.
I think he's trolling. I think he's definitely trolling. It might be the British sense of humor.
Yeah.
That usually, I feel like Americans and Canadians don't get as well. No offense.
But I think because him and Serge, they have this sort of European, like, je ne sais quoi about them, about both of them, that they sort of embody that sense of humor. Whereas I kind of imagine that, like, if like Chris Boucher or like Matt Thomas, all these guys, probably it takes them a while to like understand what OG is even up to, because it's just his wit is just all in his sort of the way his body mannerisms are. It's quite entertaining to watch.
I really feel like he does it on purpose. I feel like he knows exactly what
I do too.
And totally. He's trolling,
Totally. And I think Norman Powell does it a little bit too, to be honest with you.
Oh, I don't think so. I haven't seen Norm do anything that's like even close to, am I missing something here? Do you know who I was thinking about? I was thinking about Kawhi. And that, you remember that interview where after the Raptors got blown out in Milwaukee, and the guy, he's like, so Kawhi, where do we go from here? And Kawhi's like, to Toronto for game 3. That's what that kind of reminds me of a little bit.
Yeah, just very, yeah.
I felt like, but with Kawhi, I felt like it was half trolling, half genuinely. That's just the answer that came to his head. Like, whereas with OG, I feel like it's all trolling.
So good. Yeah, we'll see. To be honest, I think that he's one of those players that's been spending a lot of time playing 2K.
So what?
So more tea. What else has been happening? Like a couple of cute videos. Serge Ibaka put up a TikTok video about, it was all sort of post-quarantine shots of him practicing, and a lot of air balls, and there was a bricks video as well too. We see some more Giannis content out there. The latest video was him at Five Guys with his wife, and him running into the fast food joint in his wife's, I guess, size 9 flip-flops, where he claims he wears size 17. So it was quite funny little skit that he did there. And other updates like that have been going on. I mean, we've been talking a lot about Kyrie Irving. He apparently there's a 1-hour television production that he has produced on Breonna Taylor, titled #SayHerName. It's an hour-long program that's going to examine police brutality in the United States, specifically as it relates to Black women. So that will be really interesting. And apparently the broadcast network is the Players TV broadcast network. So wherever, if you have access to that, I don't know if Canadians will have access to that, but it sounds like it might be just something in the United States. And so it's going to be Kyrie Irving, Common, and then the Democratic U.S. Representative Ayanna Pressley from Massachusetts, journalist Jamil Hall, and one of the co-founders of the Black Lives Matter movement, Alicia Garza. I hope I pronounced her name right there. So yeah, so that's sort of the tea. Yeah, so that's about all for tea time. Unless you ladies have any tea to drop. Spill. Don't drop the tea.
I will say it is nice to see Kyrie Irving actually taking some action, because a lot of times we hear all talk and no action. So it's nice to see him actually doing something. I think that's cool. Some other things I've been wondering though is, like, we haven't seen Rondé Hollis Jefferson. Have you guys seen him?
No.
I haven't seen much about Chap.
Yeah, so I kind of worry about him. I know we've been reassured about Kyle Lowry, because I know a lot of people were wondering where Kyle Lowry was. And then Josh Lewenberg confirmed he works out super early in the morning, and that's why none of us have seen him. But I'm concerned about Rondé, and I'm concerned about Juwan Hernandez as well.
Yeah.
Because he's from Florida. That's where he was for the whole quarantine. And then we haven't seen him at all. So I hope he's okay, because he hasn't been seen in any, like, practices or anything, has he?
Yeah. No. Sorry, go ahead, Allison.
No, Essie, I was thinking about him the other day because he had that really significant ankle injury. And then, yeah, like, he's just kind of gone off the map. And it's funny, everyone worrying about where Kyle was. Like, I think as soon as that picture of him came out at the protest in Philly, like, that guy is locked and loaded. He is ready. Like, in my mind, there was no worry about Kyle not being visible. He's there to win.
Yeah, I think people were like, I think he's definitely, like, ready in terms of, like, what he's been training, but, like, I saw people worrying, like, that, like, he has the virus. Like, people thought, oh, why isn't he there? Is it because he got tested and got positive or something? And so that's kind of that's what I've been hearing in terms of people being worried about Kyle, like, oh, did he get the virus? And, like, any players that haven't been seen, because if you get it, you have to quarantine.
Yeah,
you don't go to the practices and stuff. And he also didn't even do the the virtual Zoom conferences. But thankfully, we've been reassured by Josh Lewenberg that he has actually been practicing every morning. So I think he's okay.
See, I just figured that was Raptors fans' insecurities once again.
I think so too. Honestly, Allison. I mean, as we were talking, I was looking at Chap's Rondae Hollis Jefferson's Instagram. He's very active. He's been boxing. His body looks like he's very fit. I think he's just spending a lot of time with his son, to be honest with you. I think these players are taking a lot of time, especially the ones that have children, to just really take the time to spend with their families.
Yeah, you mean before the camp?
Before the camp, yes.
Okay, I was talking about the bubble. I was talking about like not the Raptor bubble.
Sorry. And Adam Silver doesn't want to call it the bubble. He wants to call it the campus, guys. Not a bubble.
But yeah, because people didn't see him at this pre-Orlando Raptors camp specifically. But anyway, I think all the players are fine because I feel like we would have heard something if one of them got it or something. So crossing my fingers, that means they're all okay. So yeah, I think that's it for tea time. Shall we get into some around the league?
Absolutely.
All right. So something that is going on right now is the disappointment from players about the jerseys. Originally, it was announced that players would be able to put a message of their choice on the back of their jersey. It could be for, police brutality. It could be about any sort of message that they're, concerned about or they want to get the message out. And then it was announced that it was actually going to be pre-approved messages and it wasn't going to be, I think what they thought. And some players have come out flat out and just said that they're upset. Mike Scott specifically, he called it terrible. He said bad list, bad choice. Jaylen Brown came out and said he finds it very disappointing. So yeah, what do you guys think? I believe there's 28 approved messages. Do you think that they're justified in, being upset with this? Or do you think that it's, a great opportunity and they should be happy that they have those 28 messages? We'll start with Sonali on this one.
Yeah. So, I mean, this sort of just came out today, so I haven't had a full opportunity to look at the 28 different messages. But I mean, my understanding is that there was like quite a bit of a negotiation between the actual NBA and the Players Association with crafting the sort of coming up with the 28 statement options. So I don't want to, I definitely am not in a position to say, oh, they should just be happy with this. I mean, I'm happy that I think this is a great opportunity for these messages to be out there. But I also, I've always, I even last time we were on the podcast, I was wondering sort of what, for example, like, are the Lakers, like, I'm sure LeBron is going to have something that's going to be very personal to him, but then is everybody else going to have a similar statement to LeBron? Like, it's going to be interesting to see how this is, but I kind of, I understand what I understand what Mike Scott, I see his position. I mean, it'll take a couple of days to sort of percolate on what this actually means. I mean, the other thing to consider is that, I don't know, if you guys heard that, I guess the first 4 games, the players will have just the statements on the back of their jerseys. And I think after that, they have to put the statement on the top and then have their names visible on the back. So I don't know what the logistics around that are going to look like, because I think they have to have their names on the back of their jerseys in order for reporters to media to be able to say their names and that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that's sort of where I'm at, but it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next little while with, I mean, there's some players that have already sort of confirmed what statements they're going to have. And I know like Rudy Gobert, he's going to have equality on the backside of his jersey, and CJ McCollum's education reform. So yeah, I don't know how they came up with all of these statements, but it seems like there was a lot of work that went into this. So
in terms of the changing after 4 weeks thing, I did hear something like that too, that after 4 weeks, but I had heard that they get to change their message or something. I didn't hear about the name thing, so I'll have to look into that. So that's a good. But Allison, let's hear what you think about this topic.
Well, it's a little bit concerning that there's dissent from the players, and it just makes me wonder if there's a little bit of dissonance between the NBA PA and the actual constituency, because, I mean, you know, I think the Players Association should have their finger on the pulse of what the players want, and it's kind of jarring to think that their wishes weren't taken into account. Like, if we're supposed to be in an era of listening, this is kind of tone deaf. That's my take.
yeah, and I wonder, because like as you were talking, Allison, I was also thinking about, you know, sort of messages around defunding police and that kind of thing. I think that has a lot to do with this as well too. I think some of the messages may be sort of watered down and sort of a bit more sort of, yeah, just playing lip service. And that's kind of scary if that, like, I would be very disheartened if that is the case.
Definitely. I mean, then what's the point then? Like, it's too bad each player couldn't submit, like, say a list of 4 ideas, and the league could pick one of them, and that way there could be like, you know, direct input. And certainly that wouldn't be hard to do, I wouldn't think.
I definitely understand them being disappointed, because I also thought that each player, like when they first announced it, I also thought that each player would be able to propose their own choice for their jersey, like not like a pre-approved, like their own thing that they wanted to say. Obviously, so long as it's not swearing or profanity or lewd or any of those things, hate speech or any of the usual things that are banned, I thought that they would get to propose whatever they wanted. You know what I mean? So I was disappointed too when I saw that it had to be like a pre-approved list. I was like not pre-approved, but like a list for them to choose from, where they couldn't propose their own thing individually. I definitely thought that was a little bit suspect too. I was like, oh, there's a catch. You're gonna let us say something, but it's your controlled list. You know what I mean? So I could definitely see the disappointment there. I feel like it has something to do with, like, you know, sponsors or money or something like that, or, you know, because if a player has a certain message on his back and that team's sponsor is, you know, for example, who's the Raptors sponsor on the front of their jersey? Is it Sun Life?
Sun Life. Yep.
Yeah, it's like this, you know, it might be a reflection of that like people might think it's associated with that sponsor or whichever. So I it's probably something to do with sponsors, and also too just not and wanting to control the messaging, and that there's no really far out there message that, you know, the league is concerned about, you know, in terms of the reputation of the league. So I feel like it's a mixture of sponsorship and league control. But yeah.
So I mean, I just have I have a list of the approved statements. So if you want, I'll just quickly sort of whiz through them so that the listeners can have sort of, you know, we all have an idea of what they are. So Black Lives Matters, say their names, vote, I can't breathe, justice, peace, equality, freedom, enough, power to the people, justice now, say her name, si si puede, liberation, see us, hear us, respect us, love us, listen to us, stand up, ally, anti-racist, I am a man, speak up, how many more, group economics, education reform, and mentor.
Yeah, I just feel like it's all like the general messages.
Mm-hmm.
Like I guarantee you at least one of the players wanted to put defund the police on there.
Oh, for
and
sure.
That's not a choice. So I can totally see why they would be disappointed that they can't literally pick their own choice,
Absolutely.
And I feel like some of them might have wanted to choose something that was just specific to them. Like maybe they have a friend, a personal friend who, was a victim of something that they want to put. You know what I mean? So I can see why that they would be disappointed.
And honestly, the rebel in me, when someone tells me to do something, I think I have oppositional defiance disorder, because that's probably the last thing I'm going to do then, or I'm going to do it very grudgingly. So I completely get where the players are coming from. Like, to be told this is what you can use, that's kind of insulting.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I do want to see more of your rebellious side, though, Allison. Now that
I have a huge speeding ticket portfolio, so we shouldn't go any further with this.
Oh, wow.
on the next episode.
The Adventures of Allison the Rebel.
No.
All right. So that is our first Around the League topic. We have one more. We do want to touch base on all of the players who are unfortunately going to sit out. We just found out today that Bradley Beal is choosing to sit out due to a shoulder injury, which I don't know about you. I think that one's a little fishy to me. Some other news, unfortunately, Spencer Dinwiddie is going to have to sit out. His is definitely understandable. We also heard about Dwight Howard opting into play, or officially announcing that he's opting into play, as well as some other players like Taurean Prince not being able to play, and just pretty much the Brooklyn Nets are just losing people left, right, and center. So, ladies, Sonali's laughing. So, yeah, what do you guys think about, all these revelations, all these things that are happening? Players having to sit out, players having to, or players deciding to stay in. First, let's talk about Bradley Beal, though, because that's the one that I found out today that I'm like a little suspect on. What do you think of that?
The depletion of the East. Yeah, I agree. I was a bit suspect to me. What I find fascinating is that he's in Orlando.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. He's going to travel with the team. Yeah.
He's going to travel with them, and he's going to be one of the 35 people or whatever is sort of sanctioned. I don't know why I said sanctioned, but yeah, I think it's just he's looking at it from a sort of a benefit, like he's being quite selfish in this situation, and the team is too. So
yeah, it's kind of like having your cake and eat it too, because now he's still going to get paid, isn't he? Even though he's not playing.
Yeah. And isn't Davis, what's his name? Davis Bertans? Is that how you say his name? Bertans. He's out too.
He opted out, but he opted out completely, like not to come. Yeah. So he's not going to get paid.
No.
But
Bradley's still going to be part of the circus. He's just not going to be playing.
So that means he's not afraid of the virus. He's just, I don't know, being lazy about his, because apparently, and the reason why I'm suspicious of this is because I heard that he apparently first started complaining about his injury, his shoulder, in January. And it's been how many months now? We're getting to August. By the time the league starts, it's practically August. So 7 to 8 months, you haven't recovered from that shoulder injury. It's like you were playing right before the league postponed or suspended play, and suddenly now it's hurting so much that you don't want to play. I don't know. Allison, what do you think?
Yeah, I honestly don't remember hearing anything about a shoulder injury. And I mean, around the time of the All-Star game, I mean, didn't hear anything about it then. I know he was really disappointed he wasn't chosen. But it kind of reminds me of what Jade said in our last episode when she was talking about Steph Curry with the worst ever hand injury that lasted for like 6 months.
Oh, I think that was me who said it.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was, but she did make a very good point in that time. So you're right. I know exactly what you're talking about. We were talking about. So
maybe this is just, yes, maybe this is just a really long, lingering, like very lingering shoulder injury. I mean, I guess it's plausible, right?
Yeah, well,
maybe.
It's his, what is it? It's his right rotator cuff.
His rotator cuff. Yeah. It just kind of reminds me though about, because in that episode we talked about, we were trying to speculate if teams would end up finding their players and stuff like that. And I remember at the time being like, no, I think they're actually going to be on their side and protect them. And I feel like that's exactly what, is happening. Yeah.
So Washington suck anyways.
And hey guys, so Jokic apparently is not yet back in continental North America. He's still in Serbia or where?
I believe it is I think it's Serbia.
So does he have to have negative tests before he's allowed into the States? Like, how does all of that work?
I believe he has to, I think he has to have a negative test, or he has to quarantine for, like, in terms of the actual government, I believe you have to quarantine for 14 days anyway, like separate from the whole NBA thing.
Apparently he tested negative, but then he missed his flight.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. When he lost all that weight, he lost his
gray matter.
Oh gosh. Okay.
And I guess Landry Shamet is positive too.
Landry Shamet.
Yeah, well, they're saying that they haven't confirmed that he is, but they're assuming that it's him from the clips. Yeah.
And then there was Malcolm Brogdon confirmed it was him. He got
he has COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But he's okay, apparently.
Yeah, he said he's not having symptoms. So I think the only areas where I'm concerned, to be honest, are like when they're actually showing symptoms. Like Spencer Dinwiddie has been chronicling his symptoms on Twitter and talking about he's been in bed all day. Those are the situations where I'm more worried about, to be honest. But the other players who are kind of symptom free, I'm not so worried about them, because I expected a lot of players coming into like pre-bubble or pre-campus to be tested positive, just because like when you look on social media and you just see like they've all been out and not social distancing. Like we've seen them doing so many things, like no mask, no social distancing. So I expected that. So I'm not really that worried in terms of the actual, games functioning or the bubbles lasting, I guess you can say. But I am worried about players who are actually getting symptoms, because that's, obviously we don't want them to have anything long-term or anything bad to come from that.
That's right. And especially because like I don't know if anybody listens to the Daily, but the podcast on Monday was pretty, it was pretty revealing that now a lot of doctors think that it is a vascular disease and not just it can go to many of your organs. It's not just your lungs.
I heard that. I've been hearing also more emphasis on the longer term effects, like people who were dealing with it for like 3-4 months, you know what I mean? So I think it's something serious in that regard. So if they are showing symptoms, hopefully something too bad. And I even heard like ones who aren't showing, like people who are asymptomatic, they don't know if there's some long-term effect there that we just don't know about. So that is what I am worried about. But let's not get too deep into the scariness of COVID-19. I do want to talk about Dwight Howard though, because he finally opted to play. Everyone was wondering, is he gonna, play? Because he was one of the people who was vocal about sitting out. And he did agree to play, but then he went on Don Lemon, and some of it just sounded so forced. Like when he was asked why he's choosing to play, one of the first things he said was, "I'm contractually obligated to my team, to the organization." I don't know if it was in that order, but he pretty much, like, if the first thing you say is contractually obligated, it sounds like you might have been pressured or somebody gave you a lecture or something. So what do you guys think of Dwight Howard finally opting into the bubble?
Well, contractually obligated means when King James has spoken, King James has spoken.
So you think it's a situation where literally LeBron called him up and he's just like, "Man, what are you doing?"
He's like, "We are winning this championship, and you're either with me and Anthony Davis and co, or you're not."
I mean, well, after Avery Bradley opted out, right? It's like they could not afford to lose someone else, you know? Allison, what do you think?
I think Dwight Howard is a complicated guy, and I honestly didn't hear rumblings that he wasn't in. So, I mean, it kind of surprised me that he went on like CNN and committed. Like, it kind of makes me wonder about his motivation, I guess.
He also did say, I mean, in sort of support of him, he did say that he's going to donate the balance of his salary from 2019 to 2020 to the organization that he sort of founded, I think, in 2015, called Breathe Again. Now, I don't know exactly what Breathe Again does, but it is a nonprofit organization, and so I guess we can give him some credit for that.
But I feel like that is just I just feel like that's not a cop out, but I feel like that's like he just kind of just found something to justify it. You know what I mean? Because when Don Lemon asked him about his organization, he couldn't even describe what it does. He gave an
Ouch.
answer. Yeah, no, he really couldn't. He couldn't describe.
Yeah, and I don't know what it does. Like,
yeah, so I feel like I'm happy though if it goes to a good cause. That's obviously really great, but like I get the feeling he doesn't really want to play. Like I feel like he's just doing it out of pressure, and you know, it's his one chance to win a championship. He barely even got a contract this year, so you know. Speaking of though, did you guys hear about Joel Embiid? And this interview, it just came out literally right before we recorded.
Yes.
Yeah.
The offense goes through me.
Oh, is that what he?
Yeah.
That's not what I was talking about. But that's very interesting.
Oh. What do you tell me? What did you hear, Essie?
He said that he's disappointed the league decided to restart.
Yeah,
oh,
I saw that. I saw that.
It came out literally right before we came to record. He said it in a conference, but
he's not confident that everybody's going to follow the protocols, aka James Harden.
Yeah. Or even his teammate Ben Simmons. I mean, but yeah, that was interesting how he was saying he would rather not play, but it's his job, and so that's why he's coming. He's came because it's his job. But Allison, give us more details about what you heard, because that's very interesting.
You know what? I honestly, in my fog of fatigue from working today, I think I was reading through Woj's tweets, or I honestly can't remember where I saw it, but someone had interviewed Joel Embiid about the Philly offense, and the quote that I saw was the offense has to go through me. So that's kind of like fighting words, I think, almost. I don't know. I don't think it's a given that their offense goes through him solely.
I think it's definitely trying to reaffirm that he's the alpha, or he's
alpha. Yep.
He's trying to be the alpha, and Simmons is the beta, I guess. Yeah. But Ben Simmons,
those two are kind of.
Yeah, he does a lot of playmaking, Ben Simmons, though. So that is a little bit of that's like, that's weird. I don't know. I see why he's saying it, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like that's a bit of a slight to Ben Simmons a little.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's also like another angle on Embiid. Apparently, like he's not. I think Allen Iverson had an interview earlier this week, and he was sort of similar to Joel Embiid. He was one of those players that really fed off of the crowd. So this whole not playing with a crowd business, because Embiid is one of those players that really thrives and like feeds off of the crowd energy. And so not having that too, I think he's a little disgruntled about that. And like, I mean, I'm even curious to know how it's going to feel for these players to play without people cheering or people, screaming at them. So
exposed. Yep. He's going to be exposed if he doesn't figure out a way to play without fans.
Right?
Yeah. Because their road record is so bad, but I haven't been able to figure out if it's because, and by them I mean Sixers, if it's because they get psyched out by the fans, the opposing fans, or because they need their own fans. Like I can't figure out why they're so bad on the road. Because if they get psyched out, I feel like that, then it actually would be okay, because then they don't have the fans booing them and psyching them out. But if it's a situation where they need their own fans, then it's a problem.
Hopefully it is.
It'll be fun to see Embiid doing the airplane like in front of like empty stands. That'll be interesting.
Honestly, I am so excited. I can't even describe to you how much I'm taking lemons and making it into lemonade with this like no fans thing. I feel like it's going to be like a reality show.
Oh,
like
totally.
We're literally going to be hearing everything they say when they're mad, when they freak out, when they yell at each other. It's going to be awesome to be able to hear their reactions, because no fans to drown it out. Whoever does the tape delay, it's like they're gonna have to be, it's like they can't even take a break, they can't even have a dinner break, because the amount they're gonna have their because there's like always a 5-second delay or whatever on live television. Yeah, it's gonna be so interesting to hear the players speak.
Unless they somehow get like the Raps get Drake to join as a part of their team and he just trolls everybody.
Oh gosh, we would hear what he says too.
Yeah. Guys, can't we fully expect that half of that's going to be bleeped, honestly?
Oh, yeah.
Like 50% of it?
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they intentionally don't put mics on the nets so that we actually can't hear what they say. Yeah. Which if they did, I'd be so pissed, because they always have mics on the nets and stuff like that. And then to suddenly like all of a sudden you can't hear as much, I wouldn't be surprised if they play some games like that so that the fans can't hear as much. But I think actually we don't know now too, because now that the live commentators are not going to be there either, they're going to be broadcasting from like remotely, their mics might not even pick it up either. So I don't know. We'll see what they end up doing, but it'll be pretty disappointing if we don't get to hear what they say.
For sure.
Agreed.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. Do any of you guys have anything else to say about the players dropping out? Oh, Allison, you do. You just put your hand up.
I feel like I'm back at school. I just want to say, as a fan, I'm really sad that we don't get to see Victor Oladipo. I'm a huge fan of him. He's just absolutely dynamic, and I know that he's coming back from that bad, was it a quad injury? So yeah, I'm really sad we're not going to be able to see him.
Yeah, I'm kind of a bit surprised, because I thought he had recovered from that injury, but when I did watch him play the few times I did, he didn't seem quite right yet. But yeah. you would think after all this time it might have healed, but then again, they haven't been able to play 5-on-5, so I can see why there's that hesitation there. So it's disappointing, yeah, because I thought he would be playing. So it's and where is their 4th, 5th seed right now?
That's right. They're gonna get shut out by Boston, and then it's gonna be like a repeat of last year, basically.
Yeah, I think they would have had I felt like they would have had a chance if he was playing, but I don't know. I don't think I think this, now that I'm looking at how things are going and players not being a part of it, I think the first round is going to be more like, at first I thought the sweeps were just going to be 1 versus 8 and 2 versus 7, but there might be sweeps at the 3 versus 6 and 4 versus 5 because I don't know.
I would not be betting any money on this playoff is what I'm trying to say to people.
It's going to be unpredictable. It's not going to be a conventional thing. Although I will say I'm worried about the Raptors because they have a really brutal schedule. And I don't want them to lose that spot, number 2, because they go from playing the Nets, who everyone's dropping out, to Philly, possibly. So, yeah, I'm worried about that regard. But we shall see. Hopefully Milwaukee takes that one game off. Like, you know how when it gets to like the like if you're a team that's already pretty established, you don't have to like play as hard. You might throw some games or whatever. I'm hoping Milwaukee does that. Like maybe like, and they might not want to show us any tricks up their sleeve. So I'm hoping, we have the benefit of Milwaukee not playing hard in the game we play against them. That's terrible. I shouldn't be betting on the other team to do bad instead of us to do. But anyway, it's a tough schedule. I'm just being realistic. Okay, I think that's all we got. Anything else from you guys?
No, go Raps.
Yeah, go Raptors. Thank you guys all for listening to the Raptor Queens podcast. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. Again, let us know who you think would be the better cook, OG or Serge. I'm curious what you guys think. Also follow us on Instagram. Sonali manages our Instagram and she's always posting really cool stuff. So make sure
Oh my gosh, we forgot to wish Basayu Jiri a happy 50th birthday, ladies.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe we did. And you mentioned it right before the podcast too.
Well, we can end on that note now.
His birthday is today, literally as a recording.
He turned the big 5-0.
I know. He looks so young for his age, though. He looks super young. I thought he was like 46 or something. I didn't think he was 50. So that is, amazing for him looks-wise. And I hope he has a wonderful birthday, considering the circumstances. So happy birthday, Masai Ujiri from the Raptor Queens.
Yeah.
And if you're listening at home, you can also listen to us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and also a whole bunch of other platforms have been picking us up lately, like smaller ones that I don't remember the names of right now. So we are all over the place. So make sure you subscribe to us where you can. Other than that, thank you guys for watching. I'm saying watching because I'm looking at them. I meant I'm looking at Allison and Sonali on Zoom. I meant listening. Thank you guys at home for listening and interact with us online, on Twitter, on social media. And we will see you guys next time. Oh my God, why do I keep saying see? I keep saying visual things. We will be here next week. Anyway, bye.
Bye.
Bye.